Hey, it's Mike with Aegis Defense Solutions. One thing I don't think gets talked a whole lot, especially with newer shooters on the range, is talking about hearing protection, because there's a lot of different options out there. And so what I wanted to look at was just a couple of price points, a couple of different variations on hearing protection that you can invest in yourself, be it from something that's inside the ear, to from the cheap foamies, to electronic in the ear ones, to outer ear protection, and just some of the varying different types that are out there, and some things that you might want to look at for a loved one if you're going to get them a gift or something like that, and you're taking them to the range, or if you're new to shooting yourself, just some different options that you can look at for your own kit and loadout. Now, one choice, if you're newer to shooting or you don't do a whole lot of shooting, is you can just do simple foamies in the ears. They're cheap. Usually you can even get a set of them from free for whatever class you're taking, or if you're just going to a range or an indoor gun range. But going after that, we have the Surefire Defenders. The Surefire Defenders usually range about $13 to $15 in the ear. They're multi-use, made of silicone, and they're kind of fitted for your ears. And they have a little feature also on the inside where we can actually drop the decibels that are being allowed into your ear a little lower with some additional plugs that go into them. Now, I used to have a few pairs of those, but we really don't use them a whole lot anymore. But they are a good option at a low price point as well. And simply to clean them, soap, water, let them dry out, they're good to go again. Next, you have something like the Axle GS Extreme in-the-ear hearing protection. These are wired, and you are breaking a higher price point at this point. You're looking at about $139 for a set of these. Now, these are fantastic because they are lightweight, and they do get about a decibel reduction of about 29 decibels, which is a fantastic feature for these things. Now, after that, we go to the next price point, about $199 for in-ear protection. We have the Axle X Cores. Now, the Axle X Cores do go in the ear. There's no cords, though. These are wireless, and they use Bluetooth connection for them, which also means they're Bluetooth enabled too, so it can actually link to other things also. And these are rated at an SNR rating of 29 decibels. Now, if inner ear is not what you want to go ear covering on the outside, which is what a lot of people prefer to do because it's easier to just kind of take on and off, and there's a lot of different variations on them. You can do something between active and passive hearing protection. Now, passive hearing protection has no electronic parts. It's just coverage for the ears, and it's just going to reduce decibels. The upside of these is that they're fairly inexpensive and they're fairly cheap. And the downside is that it does give you the Mickey Mouse style appearance. Now, these are still going to be great if you don't go to the range very often, or if you have like a whole lot of friends that come out to your range, or if you're going to the range with some buddies. A cheap pair like this just to throw into a range bag is really, really good as a backup. It's always good to have just a backup in case someone else shows up and you want to go shooting with them. Now, the problem with passive is that it's going to be harder to hear range commands. It's definitely not going to be conducive to a training environment. So if you're taking classes, something like this is going to inhibit your ability to learn while you are on range. So I like to jump up from there. I do recommend myself electronic hearing protection, which is active. And so what active hearing protection does is that it allows and even can amplify the decibels coming into your headset, and then you'll have decibel breakpoints where the hearing protection will kick in and dampen those sounds that are coming in once it breaks those decibel thresholds. Meaning that I can be on range listening to commands, listening to a class, getting instruction, or as an instructor myself, giving instruction, where then I can throw these over my a student's ears, and then once they engage in a course of fire, it's going to cut out and protect their hearing. Now, on the cheaper end as an option, one thing you can go with are the Walker Razors. These are about $39 to $45, fairly inexpensive. And as you can see, they are battery-powered active hearing protection, where we do actually have a knob to control the volume of sound that's being amplified coming into the headphones. And then as you start to get the decibel breakpoints with you using your firearms, it'll cut that audio out. The hearing amplification on these is not going to be very impressive. This is a cheap, inexpensive pair. Again, this is going to be fine for just a class that you're taking on range, or just throwing in a range bag and having fun with your friends. But I like to jump up to the next price point when I am teaching classes for myself. If I'm not wearing a helmet and I'm not wearing some more expensive hearing protection, or I'm not engaging in training events, when I'm training law enforcement, one of the things that I like to go with are the Peltor. Now, Peltor Peltor, makes some fantastic hearing pro. I'm going to show you some other Peltors here in just a moment, but these are the sports line or the sports tactical. And these are fantastic because you hit about $100 all the way up to about $200, $300, depending on which model. I believe these are the Peltor 100 tacticals, and then they have a 300 and a 500 also. And that's just the nomenclature, the Peltor 100s, the 300s, and the 500s. Now, these have a little bit better, and you are getting what you pay for with that, a little bit better hearing amplification. And what is nice, because these are a Peltor product, you can see the wiring here. If you really wanted to, you could pop these off the band and actually put them onto a helmet setup. There is an option for that. And another thing that Peltor does really well too is that the standard ear cups on these, you can actually replace these like we have on these Comtacs with gel hearing cups, and those gel hearing cups makes wearing those headphones for extended periods of time a lot more comfortable and a lot more way easier to endure for long strings of fire, long strings of training events. Now, going up from there, we start to hit the more expensive brackets, and there's certainly other ones out there besides the Peltors and the Walkers. There's a lot of other companies, and feel free, do your own research. These are just starting points for you if you're newer to shooting. Now, what we liked, the next lines up from here, we have the Safariland with Safariland Liberators, and we also have the MSA Swordens. And these are about in the $275 to the $350 range. Now, between the Sworden and the Safarilands, these are fantastic headsets, and all of these will mount to helmets as well. And the nice thing about the Safariland Liberators is that they can actually be used with communications. So these are still really, really good for military and for first responders, because I can actually feed radio systems into those headsets. Now, the Swordens, some of them can allow you to do that as well also, but the Sworden Supreme Pro X's, they do not have that, but they have really good decibel reduction, and you still have that active hearing protection. And that, however, if you do want the top of the line and you want to break anywhere from the $500 to $1,000 range, now we're looking at some of the higher end Swordens and the higher end Peltor Comtacs, particularly the Peltor Comtac 6s. We have these actually mounted to a hardhead veteran helmet right here on AXL M-LOK swivels. And these helmet mounting features are really, really good for, again, if you're running lots of training or if you're actually military, law enforcement, these are going to be great hookups for this. Now, why would you want to run these Comtacs? Well, Comtacs in particular, you can actually get them set up with your microphone system for communications, and your communications can actually feed into them. In addition, that has the top of the line as far as sound amplification coming into the helmet. It's very, very good for giving you also positional audio. It can differentiate directions where sound is coming in. The downside of something like the Peltor Comtacs is they are expensive. So you are breaking a premium price point for these. Again, they can get upwards to $1,000, particularly if you're getting them with communication packages. Now, the average range shooter, the average person doing shooting, I've seen plenty of people run Comtacs also that are civilians, and they're not running them with communications necessarily. And so some of the lower end models, which of course you're still in the anywhere from $400 to $600, depending on the model, if it's the Comtac 4, 5s, or 6s, and they work fantastic for those uses. So those are just a few of the options that you can run as far as hearing protection, and different price points. Again, if you're in the market for getting them, if you're newer to shooting, this is a great starting point to look at. For more experienced shooters, I'm sure you've already got a setup that you like. In fact, I'd love for you guys to put those setups down in the comments below so newer shooters can kind of see what other people are using and read about, why they like them. So again, if you like the channel, like and subscribe down below. Hey, we broke 1,000 subscribers. We hit monetization. It's been fantastic. I can't do it without this community. You guys are what's making this happen. So again, love you guys. Thank you very much. Remember, stay prepared, not scared, and God bless and good night.